Do you pick your nose in the comfort of your own home? Because if you say no, I know that you're lying. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. It's finally starting to cool down. Interesting topic of conversation today. So if you haven't already seen a tweet from Nutty talking about live streaming and live streaming tips, you know, Nutty is huge in the content creation space for creating valuable content for people who are looking to learn about live streaming. And he focuses a lot on like regular tips, just as well as like teaching you how to use certain tools to enhance your live stream. And his tweet is it is an accurate description of kind of what is going on in the live streaming space right now. And I'm sure a lot of you are kind of looking at the space and trying to figure out like what is next. Where are all the current creators that are making live streaming tip content or streaming advice content, and you know, what is going to be next. So I think this just brings up a great point, because you have probably noticed the amount of content that is focused on streaming tips or streaming advice or how-to guides for streaming has gone like this. And the amount of streamers, I don't think, has gone like this. If anything, the amount of people live streaming has skyrocketed. Not necessarily on Twitch or Kick. We all see the headlines with Twitch and their profitability, right? Kick, we know where their profitability comes from. And, you know, TikTok live streaming is not about IRL. It is not about playing video games. It's live shopping / QVC type stuff, right? It's a totally different live streaming over there. So we have a insane increase in live streaming, especially on short form platforms, yet either a complete plateau or a decrease in, I guess, live streaming hype in some of the other aspects. And what Nutty is alluding to is that, you know, the viewership has fallen off. And people that are making content that are helping content creators it's starting to become less desirable. And then, so you start to think, well, why is that? Why are less people looking for streaming tips? Is it because it isn't a viable option for a hobby? It's not a viable option for a career. And I don't think that's the case at all. If anything, more people are making a living with live streaming than ever now. Just not necessarily the live streaming that we remember, the bleed purple era of Twitch, all that nostalgia bullshit. If you don't already know, I think nostalgia is poison, and constantly looking back towards the good old days is how you stay in the good old days. One of my mantras is adapt or die. Simple as that. And so you've got things that have become easier, right? Back in my day, when I started streaming, it was a single USB analog mixer or mic, or just an absolute garbage can of a USB microphone that you would use to plug into OBS for live streaming. And you had to use Java-based applications in order to get noise gate. You know, I'm talking OBS Classic before OBS Studio. Some of you might not even know that there was a version of OBS before the current version of OBS, and used an app called NoiseGator. It was a Java-based application that would noise gate out all the unwanted noise. And most people just ran without a noise gate back then. A lot of people. And so you've had this progression of OBS Studio, which is no doubt one of the most popular and powerful options out there, but it is still to this day very convoluted and has a high barrier to entry, just on a knowledge wise. And I guarantee that somebody is going to be like, OBS is easy. Anybody can learn OBS. Yeah, anybody can learn OBS. Everybody doesn't need to learn OBS. And you probably see where I'm going with this conversation. We have the introduction of Meld Studio, which is another broadcasting software that has become very popular in the past year. And it's crazy to think that, like, I've known of Meld, I think the last I looked, it was like 18 months since one of my first tweets that was like, hey, guys, keep an eye on this because this looks awesome. It's probably one of the only times in history that I've ever predicted something right. Seriously. But you have this other piece of software comes out. And of course, what is the initial response? Who needs this? Why does anybody need something other than OBS? You can do everything manually. You can do everything with plugins. And so you have this very prominent voice of, no one asked for this. we can already do all of this. Why does this exist? And what have you seen over the past 12 months? You've seen the incline of people getting frustrated. You know, the amount of people just on X, I call it X, I'm sorry, talking about their frustrations with OBS. And most of the issues that come with OBS and its instability are self-imposed. It is people that are installing too many plugins. It is people that are probably pushing their computer past its limits. But these are all pitfalls that you fall into if you are not a very technical person, or you are not a DIY person who likes to get into the nitty-gritty, who likes to really dive into all the details and figure out what and why and how. Not everybody wants to do that. And so I think what Meld has done is proven to the streaming community that not everybody wants to spend all their time in OBS building scenes and building sources. And to that point, you now have kind of this, I don't want to say it's like a revelation, but a realization that once you learn what you need to know, and once everything is stable and it's working, it allows you to just focus on the content. I have not looked for live streaming advice in years, right? And this is somebody who grew up watching EposVox and Nutty and Harris. And if you didn't know, I've actually been working for Harris for the past 6 months. That is ending in a couple weeks here. And if that doesn't tell you that, like, there is a certain evolution of this niche, I don't know what to tell you. But there is a plateau eventually, right? Where you gain all of your knowledge needed to live stream. And before, you needed this much knowledge in order to be a live streamer. And now you need this much knowledge, right? What you can do now with a laptop, an Elgato or a Beacon USB microphone that comes with a mixing suite built in, that has noise gates and compressors and equalizers and limiters all built in, has audio mixing, advanced routing, submixing, everything built in. Like, what you get now in a Wave 3 microphone is insane. You get everything that you could ever need and more. So you take a single computer, or even just like a mid-range gaming PC that has an NVIDIA GPU. I keep kicking the camera, I'm sorry. Have NVENC encoding, allows you to game and stream on the same machine. All the effects and plugins that you can get for OBS that can do different things. All the things that are built into Meld that just allow you to build a insanely powerful broadcast for a one-time purchase and or free, right? It's just like what you can get now is insane. So you reached a certain point where I've got everything that I need. I've learned everything that I need to know, because I don't need to become a master of audio. I don't need to become a master of video. I just choose the platforms that I want to stream to. I pick game capture or desktop capture. I got my music on my VOD track and I'm good to go. And that's awesome, right? The democratization of live streaming, it allows anybody to get into it. Now that also allows anybody to get into it. And sometimes that's a bad thing, but you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. So all this to say that we are now reaching a point where it is not necessarily about how to set up a microphone, how to set up a computer, how to set up dual PC streaming. Those things are now becoming niche. And the people that are searching for these convoluted dev tools that are these different plugins or different tools that tie all these different platforms, it's becoming a lot to manage. And especially now an era where multi-streaming is so prominent, and now you are factoring multi-streaming in and the complexities with that. And so solutions like Atom and Meld that are simplifying this process are becoming more popular, because they're making something that used to be so complex and hard to manage. They're just making it super, super easy. And you know, that's really just one piece of the pie. The other piece of the pie, and why you're probably seeing a huge decrease in live streaming advice or streaming tips, is these creators are tired, dude. Like, people creating educational content is already such a thankless job. And these creators are expected to just crank out the content constantly getting new devices in, constantly reviewing. And it's like, and if you're somebody who uses your main setup as your test bench, having to constantly tear down your own setup that you use to work is fucking awful. It is absolute dog shit. And so you just have like this never ending cycle of get new product, check it out, review it, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. And nobody wants you to make any money. Nobody not nobody. Most of the people, especially most of the commenters, they don't want you making a fucking dime. They want you to get the product for free. They don't want you to be paid by any company to talk about a product. They don't want you to sponsor your content. They're going to whine about your ads. They're going to whine about your ad reads. They're going to whine about affiliate links. At every turn, you're going to be shamed for trying to create educational content so that other people can live stream or other people can create content. And it doesn't matter how nice of a person you are. Eventually, that is just going to burn you the fuck out. And then so you get a lot of people that are sour, and then you start to not want to help people. And then when you have solutions like Meld or Atom Pro or subscription services that are for live streaming, you get a bunch of flack. You get a bunch of pushback for trying to make a living building tools for people so that other people can chase their dreams. And that's exhausting too, right? And I don't think, maybe this is a secret or just not so known, I have a very hot and cold relationship with open source. I think open source is amazing. I think open source should stay, right? I also think we need to figure out a way to compensate developers, because I think open source leaves an insane gap and a massive opportunity to just fuck developers. It's take. Yeah, open source is great when you can just take everybody else's creations and not pay for it, and then also expect them to continue to maintain it for operating system after update, constantly keeping it updated so that you can run your thing and never have to pay a dime. It's also it's incredibly easy for you to just leech off of the people that I thought it wasn't recording. Leech off the people that create these things. And then, of course, you have people like Nutty that are trying to create resources for people that have a price tag attached. And Nutty, good for you, dude. I love to see that. And it's just flack. It's complaining. Meld trying to make it come up right. Closed source, garbage. Not going to feed into it because eventually they're going to charge something. Do you know what happens when people get introduced to a product that makes their life easier and it makes less for them to think about, especially when they're running a business? They don't have any problem throwing money at it. And that is the reality, is when something comes along and it just makes your life easier and it works well and you enjoy using it, you don't care about paying money. And also when it comes to software development, yeah, those people should be compensated. The amount of upkeep nowadays, right? This is another polarizing opinion that I have, is that some subscriptions for software is okay because the amount of maintenance and updating and constant upkeep that developers have to do in order to keep software safe and secure and up to date is insane. You can't expect somebody to release an app one time and never update it and then just like pay a one-time fee and just use that forever. That's unrealistic. That's not how the world works. Stuff is changing way too fast. Planned obsolescence with hardware means planned obsolescence with software. Stuff gets updated. Stuff gets left behind. I can't stop kicking this fucking camera stand. I'm sorry. So that's the other part of it. What I'm trying to say is you have a lot of people that have spent their entire career creating content to teach other people, and it's thankless, and it's constant flack in comments. It's constant flaming for trying to monetize certain things or trying to make money. People don't want you to get paid. They want to get every bit of information out of you so that they can do what they want and give you nothing in return. Some people gladly pay, and they don't say a thing. And we love you. Thank you. Even for as somebody who has gotten into 3D printing in the past year, the amount of comments and emails that I get that are people pissed off that I don't upload my STLs for free. And I get it. At the same time, even though I'm a designer and I'm design things to 3D print, my designs are not for other 3D printers, people who do 3D printing. My designs are for people who just want to buy the thing and then install it. At the end of the day, that makes people mad because they want that open source mentality that, it used to just be about everybody sharing everything with everybody and nobody had to pay anything. And like that, this is the core of open source. It's like, or is the core of open source? You just take what you want and you don't have to give anything in return. Like, what is the ratio of people that just download STL files for 3D prints over and over and over and never create anything, never put anything out for anybody else to get? They're just take. And that's nothing that can ever be measured, but it's something I think about all the time. And I release plenty of STLs that are free. I don't release some things like the Elgato prompter kit, right? I have probably spent anywhere between $6,000 and $7,000 in materials, in shipping, in beta testing, in prototyping, in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of designing and redoing it to perfect it. And I'm sorry, that's just not something that I'm just going to give out for free, right? I know it's valuable. I know it has value. And the people that have bought it have loved it and they're super happy. And what is it? Demand and supply and demand kind of deal. Anyways, I'm probably erring on the side of ranting now, but I think it's Nutty's post. Nutty's post is I don't want to say it's revealing because it's something that I've known, and I am somebody who has always teetered on the edge of live streamer tips. I've always loved creating educational content for content creators. And a lot of the times that was for live streaming when I used to stream on Twitch. A lot of times it was just question and answer. But again, it's there isn't a lot of room to make a living there. And now I think with the acceleration of live streaming hardware and software, we're seeing a decline, a steady decline of a desire for that type of content. And so this next category is going to be very interesting. But at the same time, that also leaves a lot of room for tips for content creators. There are still going to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that are coming into content creation new, and they're going to have to learn about cameras and microphones. And so you might see people that start to divert from live streaming tips into just general tips for content creators. There's still room for people to learn about how to deal with brands and marketing and advertising. And there's so many other parts of being a influencer, content creator here on the internet. There's so much more to learn. I think that live streaming, being a live streamer, is now not really a thing. You're a content creator. You create different sorts of multimedia content for the internet, and creating videos or podcasts and shorts and long form and live stream. Live stream is just one part of the pie. So it makes sense that the educational part of the system is starting to decline because people are doing more than just live streaming now. And anybody who is just focusing on helping live streamers only is probably having a hard time. And that also for me, as I started to get into reviewing hardware and reviewing software and making videos about cameras, I felt it immediately. I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be like if I do this full time. It's going to be nonstop hardware in, hardware out, constant affiliating, constantly fighting for sponsors, constantly fighting with people about having sponsors or having ads. And I could just sense that it was going to be a very, very long and hard road. And for a while I wanted it, haven't wanted it for a long time. But I still love helping people. I still love helping people with their technology and educating people about being a content creator and working with brands and cameras and microphones and tips on computing and stuff like that. So I'll probably never stop making that sort of content. But yeah, as far as being somebody who just educates content creators or live streamers with technology. Those days are done for me, and they have been for a while. And now I try and one more thing. There's also no room for creativity there, right? And that sort of content, if you deviate from 100% delivering value to the person, people don't want to see that shit. They want to learn what they came for and then leave. They don't want to hear about your comedy. They don't want to hear about your side gigs. They don't want to hear about anything else. They want the information from you, and that's it. And that is so damaging to the soul. To create strictly transactional content, because that's what being an educational content creator is, right? It's incredibly transactional. And that was also something that I learned early on, was that there's no room to be creative, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be creative, and that's, I'm exploring ways to be creative that still involve tech content and content creation. So I think that's enough rambling, but just some thoughts that I had off the top of my head looking at Nutty's tweet, and probably why you're seeing so much less live streamer advice content creation across the board. And I think another big factor there is TikTok Shop introducing just everybody being an affiliate marketer and just nonstop getting products pushed in your face. People are probably sick of watching videos on products, to be honest. And it's most likely a good reason why you're seeing a lot of people get away from that type of content and exploring more creative and adventurous styles. So I think I'm just going to leave that there. I'm sorry for making you listen to me rant this long. I will say one thing. I miss live streaming. And now that I'm going to be unemployed in a few weeks, thought about live streaming again. Just doing chatting shit. But I got to figure out what I want to do instead of just jumping on and yapping, because I will do that all day. I do love live streaming. I miss it. That's all I got for you. All right. Good night.